Welcome.
To Dark Narratives. I'm Isabella.
And I'm Alexandria. Oh, nice. Ooh, I just opened a zero Dr. Pepper.
Did you? A zero Dr.
Mhm.
Pepper.
Yeah, they're new.
What? Like a diet Dr. Pepper?
Yes, but zero. So it's like, you know how
Oh,
they have zero Coke and zero everything?
yeah.
They have zero Dr. Pepper now. It's so good. I'm
Absolutely, I need to
obsessed
buy
with it.
that.
No, you do. They're
Because
amazing.
when I was pregnant, I drank so much diet Dr. Pepper.
Really? Yeah, they have
Because I
Dr. Pepper
don't like
Zero now.
regular. You know how every Christmas Canada Dry comes out with a cranberry?
Oh, yeah.
They did a blackberry now too.
Oh,
And so I bought those, like it's like a multi-case, and then I got the holiday season Alani's like energy drink.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, we've gotten like just really into beverages. Yeah,
That was a
syrupy.
bit.
Okay.
Oh
Oh
my
my god,
goodness.
it's so funny. All right.
Anyways, I'm
This
excited to
is
hear what you have because you keep telling me you're going to shock me.
yes, well, okay, I guess it's a pretty known case, and it is fucking horrific. It is so terrible. And it's funny because, well, not funny, but I remember hearing about this case years ago. And then when I was looking up cases now and I came across it again, I'm like, I don't understand how I haven't heard this all over the place. Like it's so terrible.
And I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know, you might, because I didn't tell you
Might know some
who.
tidbits or something.
Yeah, I'll tell you. So I didn't tell you what case I'm doing because I wanted to kind of come on here and tell you it like in real time. So anyways, I am going to tell you about the horrific and just senseless, terrible, tragic, like so many words for this murder of Seth Jackson.
Okay, so I don't recognize that name right off
You
the bat.
don't recognize? Okay, maybe you'll recognize as we go through it. But that's who we're going to talk about today. We're going to kind of start a little bit in the middle. We're starting, so a group of teenagers are sitting out and they're having a massive bonfire. And they're just kind of like shooting the shit, having a couple drinks, kind of what all teenagers, not all,
Yeah,
but
I was gonna say, as
most,
you do.
yeah, as
Cool
you
ones.
do as teenagers. You know, the days when you would tell your parents that you were at a friend's house, but really you were either like out with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, trying to have some alone time, or you
Passed
were
out
just
in a
like,
field.
yeah, exactly. When your mom thinks you're sound asleep at a friend's house. Yeah. Or you're like out at a party and just having too much fun. So
Yeah.
they were kind of doing that. They were doing this at a friend's house who was a little bit older. So it was her
Okay.
place.
Okay. So how old are they? They're like 14 and their friend is like 17.
Kind of, actually. I can't believe you just
Okay.
guessed that. Yeah, so
Mm.
their friend's a little bit older and it's her house. So seems like everything was fine at the fire. Nothing seemed to be kind of getting out of hand aside from I guess how big this fire was. At one point the fire got so big it was almost touching the trees above it, and I guess those trees were about like 8 feet high.
Holy shit.
This is a huge fire. Huge
What were these
bonfire.
kids putting on the fire?
Well, we'll get to that.
Okay.
So this is a fucking large fire. Uh, I don't I don't really know why you would be having a fire that big if you're underage having some drinks, hanging out with your friends. You know what I mean? Like if you're at a party, you're not gonna draw this massive amount of attention.
Well, there's that, and then who cares so much to tend to this massive bonfire? Do you know what I mean? Like maybe if you be with
Exactly.
friends, whatever, once in a while you throw a log on or whatever, but to have this 8 foot
Exactly.
fire and you're just kind of casually chilling, that seems a little off.
I feel like that's not a fire that you would just like pull a chair up and sit and have a beer.
How could you, honestly? How do you get that close?
Exactly. And I feel like as teenagers too, you're not really sitting there having a social beer. You're like chugging your beers back. Like you're on a mission. But anyways, yeah, so they're having a massive bonfire. And it actually, like, speaking of how like big it was and somebody tending to it, it had prompted the neighbors to come out a couple times to check on what was going on, but nothing really came of that. There was no like noise complaints or anything like that. They just came out, checked, spoke with them, everything was fine. So this fire went till about 2:30 in the morning with only one person left tending to it. So at this
Is it
fire,
super rural? Like, obviously, this wasn't
yeah.
inner city or anything like that.
No, it was actually at a trailer home, and there was quite a distance between neighbors.
Okay.
So they were able to do this. So at this fire, there was Amber, who was 15, Kyle, who was 16, Justin, who was 20, Michael, who was 18, and Charlie, who was 19. And it was Charlie's house.
Okay.
Okay. And Michael rented a room at Charlie's house, and Kyle sometimes. I guess he just started renting a space there. So the roommates there were Charlie, Michael, and Kyle.
And so they've got a 14-year-old hanging out with 20-year-olds.
Pretty, yeah. So Amber's 15. Yeah. Amber and Kyle, they're actually brother and sister. And Amber's 15, Kyle's 16. And yeah, they're just hanging out with 20-year-olds at their house.
Okay.
I don't know where they get off having parties at their house with actual kids, but
Yeah, I don't know what you'd have in common with a 15-year-old as a 20-year-old, but
well, and that's just it. I don't know where that's coming from.
and like where I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I guess, I was gonna say where are the 15-year-old's parents, but when you're 15, 16, especially if you're with your sibling and your older brother,
Yeah. Well,
I don't
and
know. I wouldn't
two,
imagine
sometimes
that.
you have no idea where your kids are at.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
there's power in numbers. So if you're a parent, you're like, oh, my younger daughter is hanging out with her older brother. You'd
Yeah.
be
Yeah. You'd be
keeping
a
her
little bit
safe.
more at ease.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, okay, so what we know now is that this was not just any typical bonfire between friends. The fire was made to specifically dispose of a 15-year-old's dead body.
Oh,
And this
okay.
was the body of Seth Jackson.
So, okay, that's where right. Okay, so they've got an 8-foot fire
Mhm.
and they're trying to be inconspicuous and dispose
Mhm.
of something.
Yeah.
And
Dispose of a
nobody,
15-year-old's body.
oh my God. And
Yeah.
that's not how that works.
Oh, well,
You can't just burn, bone and
yeah, and we'll get into that, but that's how these pea-brained fuckers thought they should do it. And also,
I think I a little bit kind of heard about this case, but I don't know all the details.
yeah, I thought maybe you would. That's why I wanted to kind of not that's why I didn't want to tell you about it.
Yeah, okay.
Now, before I get into the details about how Seth ended up in this situation, I just want to give you some backstory about what was going on at this point in time with Seth and these demons. So
Because
Amber,
he's the same age as Amber.
yeah. So actually, Amber was Seth's ex-girlfriend. So they started dating back in December of 2010. And it was, I guess, a really tumultuous relationship, like volatile. And this is 15-year-olds. It wasn't just like regular teenage relationship drama. Because honestly, you're going to have drama in a relationship when you're that age.
And I'm
You're
trying
not,
to think back to 2010, like what it was like then. Did we have cell phones? No.
yeah.
Did we? Yeah, no. There were
Mhm.
cell phones by then. Yeah, because I would have, yep. So kind of everything in 2010 kind of was the same as now, except they didn't really have Instagram or Twitter, but people were
Yeah.
on Facebook. They had cell
Facebook was
phones.
really prevalent, I believe.
Yeah.
So yeah, and actually they took to Facebook quite often for when they had issues. Their relationship issues and arguments and everything was alcohol and cocaine fueled
At 15.
at 15.
All right.
So they're, yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah, they are living like above.
You're
Well,
doing well.
they are on a great path in a great relationship.
Success.
Yeah. So with all of this going on, I can't imagine that was really going to go anywhere. It wasn't going to go anywhere good. We'll just say that. It wasn't going anywhere good. And they actually ended up breaking up not too long after. They broke up in March. Amber had broken up with Seth, but it wasn't just like a clean break where they never talked to each other again and moved on with their lives and were mature about it. They would still talk and see each other. But it wasn't like on good terms that they would talk and see each other. They started to seek out ways to upset and hurt one another, piss each other off. At one point, yeah, really, really toxic. And I guess Seth was pretty upset about the breakup with Amber. And at that age, you don't really know how to find a safe way out of a situation. Like,
well, especially their brains are being compromised, I guess, for lack of better terms, by all of these drugs and substances, so they're not thinking straight.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and they're still developing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like at that age, I know at that
And he
age
just came in and started helicoptering his penis. So
okay. Get out. Oh.
I don't know if you want to leave that in.
Oh my god. Distraction.
Oh my god. Okay, so anyways.
Oh,
so yeah, so they're obviously their brains are so their brains are still developing and they're
Is he still there?
no, but it's like I have this ghost now.
It's like in your head.
Yes. Now it's in yours. Ruining career.
He's like, this is waiting for you when you're done.
Yeah, I got something for you.
Hurry up. The faster you hurry, the faster you get it. Anyway, so I know like at that age, you feel like you're grown and you can make decisions for yourself, and just everything in that moment at that age is like the end all be all.
I was gonna say I am so fearful of our children becoming 16 and just thinking that they know everything. It's the worst.
Oh my god, I know. You couldn't pay me any amount of money to go back to those days.
No.
Like I enjoy my age now.
Oh yeah.
Like
and it only gets better. The more the
exactly
closer you get and the more further you get along into your 30s, the less fucks you give, and it's very freeing.
I'm turning 30 already. I feel like there's no other age. Like I would never want to go back because I'm so comfortable now. I'm just like, I really don't fucking care.
You know what? Don't give a fuck.
Well, exactly. Like I don't have anybody to impress. I don't have anybody to just happy where I am. But anyways, that's where they're at in their lives. It's the end all be all. At one point, there were allegations that Amber had been cheating on Seth and that Seth had been abusing her and even had raped her at one point. But
and these are just allegations.
Yeah, they're just allegations because I do just want to say that in the trial and everything, there was no factual evidence to support rape. So whether it did happen or not, we can't say. I don't know. There was no actual report of it.
Okay.
But right around the time that they had broken up, but were still talking and seeing each other, Amber had started sleeping with Michael. Now, for whatever reason, I don't know why, but Michael has like repeatedly denied that he was with Amber, but they had Michael had tattooed his initials on Amber's groin.
Oh.
And Michael had her initials on his. So I don't know. Call it what you want.
Okay.
But I don't know.
I don't have a comment.
I'd say there's something going on there. So we're just going to go with that. So Amber was starting to sleep with Michael, and that obviously pissed Seth off because Seth still wanted to be with Amber.
Okay.
And that pissed Michael off. So now we've got this like teen
hormonal love triangle.
Exactly. You got just like a hormonal mess. I mean, Michael's 18, but I don't know. I feel like at 18, you're still kind of. I feel like at
Ew.
18, you still
So
got a
an
lot of
18-year-old
fucking
is
growing to do.
sleeping with a 15-year-old?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Could you imagine your daughter coming home and saying, "Oh, this is my new adult boyfriend," when she is in what, grade 10?
This bitch is in ninth grade.
Oh, even better.
Like when
Yep.
you're older and there's an age gap, it's a little bit different. You guys like you're actually adults.
Oh, I mean, look at my husband and I, where I'm more than 5 years older than him, but I
Exactly.
didn't meet him when I was 15.
Exactly. There is like, how do you even have enough in common to be in that type of relationship with somebody at 15 and 18? That's
No,
sick.
that's a predator.
Yeah, 100%. So, yeah, we've got this hormonal mess. He's an adult. He fucking should not be sleeping with Amber, but
And I'm assuming he's also doing all the drugs and alcohol too, so his like
oh
decisions are
yeah. Oh yeah, he looks
compromised.
so strung out. So, now and then not only that, we've got Kyle Hooper, which is Amber's brother. And Amber, you know how I mentioned that there was allegations of abuse and possibly rape? Her brother's
Against,
pissed.
okay, that's a good brother.
And I guess him and Seth were friends at one point, but then when those allegations started coming out, yes, he's obviously pissed off with him.
A good brother should be. A
Exactly.
caring brother.
But he was also, so not just that was he pissed off at Seth about, but he was actually also pissed off because he found Seth in bed with his crush.
Oh,
So
okay. So they're both messing around on each other.
that's kind of what it seems like. So he found Seth in bed with his crush, and that was 1 week before this murder took place. And also, just a side note, Kyle found Seth in bed with his crush because he was looking through the girl's window.
Okay. Not okay.
Not like, yeah. No, I don't know. What the fuck were you?
Also, I meant messing around as in like Seth was probably sleeping with her to piss Amber off, but to be, I don't know, being a peeping Tom and to be pissed off at someone because you slept with a crush, like what does that even mean? Did he ever ask her out? Like it's a crush, right?
I
I don't
don't,
know.
yeah, I don't know if they were like together. I just seen that they like that's who he was into at the time. So I don't know if
Like,
it
is he
was.
like writing in his diary, like, I love so and so. Today, Seth slept with her.
Yeah. And I saw it through the window.
It was being a really big pervert. And I found out that my crush has been
Exactly. Exactly. Like I don't know what the fuck were you doing looking through this person's like this girl's window.
That freaks
Go
me the fuck
home.
out. I fucking hate that shit. Honestly, like, yeah, nope.
No, it freaks me out because you don't know who could be lurking in your windows.
Isn't that creepy, especially at nighttime when it's dark?
Well, yeah, and sometimes like are people like knowing your habits because they can see in your house?
When your kids get a little bit older, little like kids will do this, but they'll come over. If you have a window or anything in near your front door, they'll peek in it. And I think it's just a kid thing to do because they all do it, but it
Yeah.
just bothers me so.
Oh, like they'll come to the house and they'll immediately go to look in the window by your front door.
Yeah, like if you don't answer the
Yeah.
door immediately, they'll like,
Yeah.
and I don't know, it's probably just like an instinct
Yeah.
or whatever, there's somewhere you can look into peer
Oh,
in or whatever,
yeah.
because they all do it. It's not like
Well, they're
it's
so
something the
curious.
parents have right. Yeah, they're curious. But anyways, I always tell my son, like, you don't peek in people's windows, but it's just something they do, and it just bothers me so much. I see them
No,
because I
that's
have
a good thing to tell him.
to tell them, right? But it's just something,
Yeah.
I don't know, instinctually they do. But anyways, this guy is clearly, old enough to know not
Well,
to
he's
do that.
fucking
But
16 years old. Like, is he
yeah,
just like,
it's
is he like
not
hiding
okay.
out in her yard?
Really bothers me. I hate that.
What the hell? Yeah. So, anyways, that's how he found out. So he's pissed. Everybody seems to. Michael's pissed at Seth. Seth's pissed at Michael. Pissed at Amber. Kyle's pissed at Seth for more than one reason. And it's just a fucking mess. Now, with all this going on, everything becomes. It's not just like regular teen drama where they hash it out. It becomes incredibly volatile. Okay, eventually things got so intense that we've got multiple death threats here. Kyle at one point said that he was going to kill Seath, and Michael had told Seath at one point that he had a bullet with his name on it.
Oh,
And
where
he
do
said
these
that,
kids hear this kind of
right?
talk?
Like, just who? I got a bullet with your name on it? What the fuck?
Where are these kids growing up? Are they for worse
Yeah.
off? Like, what are they? How are they
Like,
growing
did
up?
they have, yeah, no, I know what you're saying, and we'll get to all that, but like, fuck. So that was about 7 days prior to the murder happening.
Okay.
So at one point, they had also made a plan to meet and hash it out about 2 weeks prior to this all happening. And when I say they were gonna meet to hash it out, they were gonna fight it out.
Okay, which is like normal boy
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
I feel like normal high school boy stuff.
totally. Again, with
I
all
mean,
those
having a
hormones and
bullet
everything.
with your name on it, not normal, but meaning I
Yeah.
know like having a fight or whatever, fight over a girl, I feel like
Oh yeah.
it's
I don't
trash,
think
but
that's
it's not on.
abnormal or anything.
No.
Yeah, so how this was going to carry out is that Seth and Michael were going to meet. So Seth went through with it, and he went to Charlie's house where Michael was renting a room, if you remember, and he was going to meet Michael there to hash this out. And just like to remind you again, Michael's 18 and Seth is 15. In what world is it okay to make a plan to beat this child up?
When you're biologically 18, but not mentally 18.
Fuck. So Seth gets close to the house to meet Michael when he starts hearing what sounds like gunshots. So he's like,
Oh,
what the fuck? And he left. He got the fuck out of there.
good. Sorry, that was Seth.
Yeah,
No, Michael.
Seth got
Oh,
close to Michael's house
heard
and started
gunshots and
hearing
was
gunshots.
like,
Yeah.
like dipped. Okay.
Oh yeah, got the fuck out of
I was
there.
gonna say yeeted out of there, but I don't think we say that.
Now I want to ask somebody younger.
Let us know.
Yes, let us know. Do people say yeeted anymore or dipped? When I was a teenager, it was like, let's dip. What did they say for you?
I think yeet has ran its course.
He yeeted, he dipped, he got the fuck out. He's like, this isn't worth it. He left. So
Okay, he's got so gunshots.
he,
Boom, I'm up.
he's exactly. So Michael, I guess there was a mention here that Michael, the reason he did this is because he just wanted to scare him a little bit.
Okay, well that worked.
So that worked. So Michael, if you haven't kind of got the idea yet, Michael, he's a little shit. He's a wannabe gangster.
Big time loser.
Big fucking time loser. He's about 5 feet and 100 pounds soaking wet.
Oh, he's me. I'm just kidding.
Oh, he's me. Like, he's a scrawny little fuck.
No, I'm more than 100.
I would hope so.
He's my goal.
I want to be 5 feet and 100 pounds, soaking wet. Fucking the scrawniest little fuck.
This is the 18-year-old.
This is the 18-year-old, yeah, with the
Oh,
gun.
no wonder he's hanging out with like 14-year-olds or 15-year-olds. Feels like a big man around them.
Totally. So he did actually have a gun. He got his own gun, and it's a 22 caliber Heritage handgun. And I know, I'm like, I don't. But he got that about 6 weeks prior to the murder. I guess Michael, he'd have it on him like at all times. And if it wasn't on him for whatever reason, it was just an arm's reach. Like, he knew where.
So is that actually though, is that a small gun or a big gun?
I really have no idea. To be honest, I didn't even look it up. Like, I don't know anything about guns.
Me neither. I'm like assuming a handgun, so it's
a size of your hand, a handgun.
not a big shotgun.
No, not a shotgun, a handgun.
Okay, so it's like something he can have in his holster or whatever. It's
exactly. He probably sticks it in his fucking skinny jeans.
Keeps it on his table, you know what I mean? Like his out.
Yeah, it's always around him. It's always in arm's reach, on him, whatever. It's there. He would just he'd shoot it like all the time. He'd shoot it out of a window at a tree in his house, like in that house.
So these are very upstanding people.
Citizens. Yes, yeah.
Citizens.
This is I could see why these teenagers are like, let's go hang out at this house. I feel like it's just like a dumping ground for do literally whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. And they did at one point have 3 other roommates in that house, but they weren't there when leading up to this happening, nor were they there when it happened.
Is this
But
a
there
house
was
or a trailer?
is a trailer. Sorry.
Okay, because that paints a better picture.
Trailer house?
Like a trailer park trailer.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
Like a
not
mobile
a
home.
trailer that you hitch on a
No, it's like a mobile home.
yeah, okay, oh yeah, a mobile home. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah,
thought it
like
was,
a mobile
yeah,
home.
stop saying house because I'm like, what the fuck? But yeah, no, a mobile home, it paints a way better picture.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, it's a mobile home. Like I said, they did have 3 other roommates. They weren't there leading up to this or at the time, but there was Charlie's husband, but he was in jail when this happened, and 2 other roommates who had left after being threatened by Michael with his gun during an argument. So they were like, "Fuck this, I'm out." You kind of get an idea of the type of person that Michael was. So
He's never been incarcerated for anything.
not that I saw, but
Badass.
just a fucking a gangster, if you will. 'Cause
Doing
he
well.
wants to be. Instead of taking the situations that are going on between the love triangle and the brother and the crush and everything, instead of like moving on and the children of this group going about their business and continuing to grow and learn how to handle situations, and the adults going about their business, things escalated even further to an absolute unimaginable level. On April 17th, 2011, Amber, her brother Kyle, Michael, Justin, and Charlie were sitting in Charlie's house.
It's mobile home.
You're right. This kind of is just a place where I'm going to
Trash comes together.
This is where trash comes together in this mobile home. So according to reports, Michael began discussing how everybody hated Seath, and he concluded that Seath had to die.
Oh.
And he actually had a plan for this. And that plan involved each of those people sitting in that room with him. Now, instead of being like, what is this guy talking about, and just leaving the situation, they just lean in a little closer and they're like, yeah, go on, Michael. We'd love to hear what your plan is to murder somebody. A 15-year-old.
They weren't like, oh, maybe we should call someone.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe this is the tipping point where I'm not going to hang out with people like this anymore.
Yeah,
no,
like
they were like, you know what? I want to go home to my comfy house. No, they were like, yeah, you know what? I gotta hear what you gotta say.
Take a photo of Michael. Put him on Facebook. Whose son is this?
Exactly. Like, what is wrong with this person? With all of them. So anyways, Michael's plan was Amber was to text Seath and convince him, lure him to come to Charlie's house on the grounds that they needed to talk out what was going on between them. Maybe they can come to a reconciliation. And Amber was, if once Seath agreed, Amber was to text Michael and Kyle and let them know when Seath was just about at the house so they could be prepared for what was going to come next. Justin's role was to hit Seath over the head with a piece of wood as soon as Seath got into the house. Justin's role was to hit Seath over the head with a piece of wood as soon as Seath came into the house. And at that point, Michael and Kyle were going to attack Seath, and then Michael was going to end
Seath a big guy, or because Michael's a little guy, so is Seath also a little guy, or do we know?
He's like 15 years old, so I don't imagine.
Well, I don't know. I mean, he's probably, if anything, if he was, he's either 6 feet and 100 pounds or 5 feet and 100 pounds.
Well, and there's this group of friends that are like going against him, so
yeah,
he's fucked either way.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you catch someone off guard, it's not gonna, matter.
Yeah,
because even that's like that. How they said that's like the biggest protection for women too. It's like if you like an intruder or somebody, an aggressor who's like attacking you, catching them off guard, no matter what your size, is gonna throw them off for at least a little while.
100%. So anyways, yeah, after Seath would be hit in the head with a piece of wood, Michael and Kyle were to then attack Seath, and Michael was gonna end it by shooting him. So
holy fuck.
Yeah.
Holy fuck. Okay, that's my rewind. Okay, so Michael is sitting at his mobile home, got all these people who have just agreed. How do you get that many fucked up people together? Okay, and so now they've agreed that they're going to trick this poor boy, trust this girl, So they're like, okay, we're going to use this girl, have this guy come over, smash him over the head, and then I'm going to shoot him. And they're all like, yay, yes.
Oh yeah, they didn't leave. No, they didn't leave that situation. They were like, yes, Michael, that sounds great.
They're all in cahoots. They're all like, yes, this is a great plan.
Oh yeah, they're just, all these people have just been marinating in this fucking cesspool of trash.
How can you hate someone? Like, it's got to be some kind of an adrenaline rush for them, because I can't imagine actually doing it because they actually hate this guy. They've all just got to be so
Well,
hyped for
sitting
something.
there with your I don't know, friends, and actively discussing a plan
That's
to murder
disgusting.
somebody, instead of just you sitting there venting like, oh, this guy pissed me off, he did this.
But not one of them just being like, haha, like, but they were all like, yeah, that's so wild.
So anyways, that was Michael's plan. So this was discussed in the afternoon of April 17th. Now we're going to go to the evening of April 17th. Seath was hanging out with his friend Samalot until about 9:15 p.m. And Samalot had mentioned that, like, after the fact, Seath was on his phone pretty much the whole time they were hanging out, just going back and forth with Amber, and that Amber wanted to meet with him. And Samalot, he told Seath that he didn't think that it was a good idea. He did not think that whatever that they were discussing was going to be helpful to either one of them. And we know now is that the texts between Seath and Amber that evening were ones that would just set Seath on a path that he would never come back from. I know. This is going to get really rough. Amber and Seath had been talking about meeting up so they could talk about what was going on between them. Their previous messages that evening were going back and forth. Eventually, Amber texts Seath to solidify their plans to meet up and talk about what was going on. So she says, hey, my friend Charlie is coming with. I've been telling her everything between me and you, and she's coming because I need her to help through this. Is that okay? But don't tell anybody what's going on, because I want to make sure we can work things out before anyone knows. And if you thought that was fucking weird, Seath, I think he thought the same thing, because his response was, Amber, if you have me jumped, I will never give you the time of day. So if I get jumped, say goodbye. All right?
Oh my God. So he knew. The fact that you are willing to see somebody and then having this feeling like the possibility that they could have someone to jump you or just attack you, I guess, because jump means attack. It's just, why would you give that person the time of day?
Yeah.
I mean, they're 15.
He obviously had feelings for her, and she,
yeah,
you know, like,
trusted
she
her.
used that against him.
Oh, damn, that's so sad.
So sad. And Amber comes back in response to that message, and she says, I swear you're not Seath. I can never do that to you. I just want you and me back. And he says, yeah. And he says, okay.
What a I don't know how this ends, but what a bitch.
Yeah.
I'm like calling him 15-year-old.
Fuck, she doesn't even, I don't even care. She is a fucking bitch. 15 or not, what the decisions that she's making right now are not
cool, Amber.
Not 15-year-old decisions.
Not dark narrative approved behavior.
No. Okay. So anyways, she says that, and he says, okay. So with that, Seath left hanging out with his friend and went to go meet her. Now, if you remember from the plan,
what time of day was this? Sorry.
So him and Samalot separated ways at about 9:15 p.m.
But was this on a weekend or
this was a Sunday?
See, they should have been in school on a Monday.
Well, yeah, I think, yeah. And the adults going to fucking work, but apparently
they're these feral children.
Yeah. So he's like, he agrees, and he goes on his way to Charlie's house to meet Amber, which was only 4 miles from his own home. And if you remember, it was Amber's job to warn the others when Seath was just about to reach the house to give them a heads up. Mm-hmm. But for whatever reason, she just didn't do that. I really don't know why. She just.
Do you think she was having second thoughts?
I don't think so. I really don't. I would just say I feel like she just shit the bed and just didn't do it.
She's an
Like, 'cause
idiot.
she's a shitty fucking human. I don't even know if you'd call her a human.
You just can't, like, she's just not reliable. So it was like
Yeah.
anything, even if it was a murder plot, you could even rely on her, even if it was something she really
Which and it
unfortunately wanted
was.
to carry out, she couldn't
Yeah.
even do that.
No. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why she didn't, but she did not warn them. So instead, Seth reached Charlie's mobile home and was let inside. He sat down on the couch, and immediately Seth was ambushed and hit over the head with a large stick.
Oh,
I guess,
so he
like,
sat down and
yeah, he was immediately ambushed.
by who? Oh, you'll get that.
Yeah. So I guess Kyle, Michael, and Justin, they were in the room next to where they were sitting, discussing when they were going to go out and start the attack. And if you remember, it was actually Justin's job to come out first and hit him with the piece of wood. But I don't know why, but he just didn't do it. And ultimately, Kyle carried that job out. So Kyle came out and ambushed Seth and hit him over the head with a piece of wood.
Well, probably because Kyle had all these thoughts in his head about his little sister being
Yeah.
abused, whatever, and so then
Yeah.
he probably
Yeah, I'm not sure, but at this point, Seth is hit over the head, and Michael comes out and shoots him.
And they were all waiting in a little room because it's just a mobile home, so they were just like all kind of huddled in the adjacent room or whatever.
Yeah, and when you see pictures of Seth, it's just terrible. Like he looks like just a baby. He looks so young. This makes me so sad. So Michael comes out and he shoots Seth. Seth is actually able to make a break for it after just being brutally beaten and shot. Seth makes a break for it. He runs out of the house and he just about makes it to the end of the road when Justin comes out and
After
he
being
tackles.
shot? After being shot inside the mobile home?
Yes, after being beaten and shot, Seth gets this strength and he tries to get the fuck out of there. He just about makes it to the end of the road when all of a sudden Justin comes and tackles Seth to the ground, restraining him and hit him.
Oh my fucking God.
And Justin hits Seth, restrains him out there in the yard. Michael comes out and he just starts shooting Seth over and over. So they're in it. They're going for it. From there,
they didn't realize it on it. They're such fucking dummies that they didn't realize how hard it is to kill someone. They thought, oh, we're just gonna hit him over the head, knock him out, shoot him, done. They didn't realize how hard it is to kill someone because they're idiots.
They're fucked. This is so fucked. From there, after Michael comes out and starts just shooting him over and over, the guys grab him and carry him back into the house and put him in the bathtub.
And he's still alive.
They need to figure out what the fuck they're gonna do at this point. Michael then shoots Seth in the head 2 more times to end it. From there, they broke Seth's kneecap so they could fold him up and put him into a sleeping bag.
Oh my God.
They then took Seth and the sleeping bag out into the backyard and they started a fire and they put him into it. And I mentioned the fire went until about 2:30 a.m. Everybody had went to sleep and Kyle had tended to the fire until then before going to sleep.
They went to sleep?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So the following morning, so Monday, when everybody started to get up. So Monday morning, Seth's mom is obviously immediately concerned because Seth has not come home. He hasn't made any contact with her. Nobody's heard from him. And she said this was incredibly unusual for him. Like, he was a teenager, but he absolutely did keep in contact. So she felt something was wrong here. He's a teenager. Yes, he might have been maybe on a wrong path or whatever, but she knows her kid. And his friend Samalot, who Seth was with before he parted ways the night before, he's kind of concerned too because he hasn't heard from Seth. And the last thing that he knew after they parted ways the night before was that he was possibly going to go meet up with Amber. And he had mentioned to Seth that he didn't think anything good was going to come from that. Like, he didn't see what the reason for going to see her would be. So he's wondering what the hell's going on. And then on the other side of things, we've got these fucking monsters waking up at Charlie's house.
Yeah, they just go and murder someone and then go to sleep.
Exactly. So they're all waking up and they're like, fuck, we still have a job to finish here because you can't just burn somebody in a fire pit.
Right. They're so stupid. They think that you can get rid of all your bones and teeth and if you had any jewelry, but that's not how it works.
Exactly. So they're like, fuck, we need some help here. Instead of like, I don't know. I mean, I don't really know who you'd call to come help you dispose of a body, like a friend. I don't know, but this is just extra weird to me. They called James Havens, who was an adult, who was Kyle and Amber's ex-stepdad. They called him for
Okay.
help. So instead of like, you'd think, okay, from here, they would drag these fucking kids by their hair to the police station. No, he didn't do that.
Did they tell him what they did?
Yep. Instead, this fucker helped them dispose of a 15-year-old boy's body.
Oh my God. Who is this guy?
From here, they shoveled up Seth's remains from the fire
Yeah.
and they poured it into 5-gallon paint buckets that were attached to wire, cables, and cinder blocks to weigh them down. And James Haven drove Michael and Justin out to throw these buckets into the quarry.
How fucking stupid are these people? She was literally texting him to come there and he said, I will come there. Do they not understand? Like it's 2010. It's
Oh, fuck, I know. There's trails everywhere. And also,
I mean,
Seth
I understand
told
there's
where
no
he was going.
cameras.
Yeah, like told his friend that he had been texting Amber and that they were gonna go and meet up. Like, there's so many fucking loose ends here.
What?
Anyways, I'm happy
Okay.
that they are so stupid, but yeah, that's where
But-
we're at now.
Wow.
So they threw these buckets
And
into
this
the quarry.
stepdad is like the hero.
Oh yeah, to them,
Oh my
100%.
God.
They were like, who are we
He's
gonna
like,
call?
oh, I've done this before.
No fuck, yeah, no shit. They were like, who are we gonna call to dispose of a body? Who are you gonna call to bury a dead body? My stepdad.
They're so stupid. They're like, oh yeah, we're just gonna burn him, and then oh shit, that doesn't work because it doesn't. And then, well, what are we gonna do with the rest of it? And wow.
Yep, I know. And I guess they chose the quarry because Michael had been there before. He had went there with his ex-girlfriend and he's just like, yeah, this is a good place to make a body disappear. So,
And so the stepdad listened to Michael.
yeah, no, that's what they did.
Are you kidding?
So after they have thrown these buckets into the quarry, that's when James gets a call from Tracy, who is his ex-girlfriend. So Amber and Kyle's mom. And she's like, the police were at my house and they're looking for Seth. So at this point, that's when Michael finds out that people are aware that Seth's missing, obviously, and that an investigation on his whereabouts has already started. So he decides that he's going to ask James to drive him out of town, which James agrees to. So continuing this path of not doing the right thing, I guess. And
Yeah, being what's it called when you're assisting people who are murdering?
like
when
an
you're,
accessory, like he's a total, like he's an
accessory, yes,
accessory. Yes. Yeah. So
an accessory to
continuing
murder,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. So James agrees to that. And before Michael gets out of town, he asks Kyle, he's like, hey, before you go to your mom's house, could you just stop by my dad's house and tell him about what's going on? I don't know why.
That's so weird.
I know. I don't know why. And I don't know exactly what he told him. But I guess his grandma was there too. He was supposed to go there and tell him. So from what I'm understanding at this point, we've got 3 adults outside of this circle of monsters who've committed the murder that know what has happened or somewhat of an idea of what happened, and none of them have called the police or dragged these, I say,
Yeah, 'cause-
people loosely to the police station.
At this point, Kyle and Amber, have they told their mom, or she just has red flags up because the police are at her door looking for
Exactly.
Seth?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah, Michael's driven out of town, and Kyle and Amber and Charlie, they're now at Tracy's house, which is Kyle and Amber's mom.
Okay.
So they're spending the night there. So it's Monday. But this is kind of luckily where the train of adults who don't say something ends. So the following
Good.
morning, Tuesday morning, Kyle, he cracks. He's like, I can't deal with this. He cracks. He tells his mom he witnessed somebody be murdered. He witnessed Seath be murdered.
God, can you imagine your kid telling you that?
No. I know. And you see, like, in the interviews, you see her, the mom, and she's like, I'm gonna throw
Heartbroken.
up. I have to go home. Like,
Because you never think your kid could be capable of something like that.
you never think you're gonna be in some like situation like that. Yeah, she's like, I can't be here. I'm gonna throw up. Like, I don't even think she knows where to begin because they're
Well,
still
and
your kids.
yeah, because she'd probably start blaming herself, right? Like,
Yeah.
what did I do? Where did I go wrong?
Yeah, and how I can't fix this. Because you always want to fix things for
Oh,
your
you always want
baby.
to fit. Yeah.
You know what I
Oh,
mean? And she's like, I can't. Don't even know what to do. So she listens to what Kyle has to say, and she brings the three people who stayed at her house. So she brings her daughter, her son, and Charlie to the police station to talk to detectives.
just grabs him by the ears.
Yeah, like, exactly. You're going to the fucking police. You're done. And these fuckers take this opportunity to make it seem that they say Michael's like the whole mastermind behind this, and he killed Seath, and he did everything with the exception of Kyle hitting Seath over the head. And that the only reason Kyle did that is because Michael kind of amped him up for it, because if you remember, Kyle was already really pissed off with Seth for a couple of reasons, and so Michael's like, he did this to you and he did that, and come on, do it.
Right, and he
And so
thinks
Kyle did
that Seth is allegedly abusing his little sister. So
it. Yeah, the detectives talk to the three of them. Eventually Justin is brought in, but first they're talking to the three people who are there, so Kyle, Amber, and Charlie. When they speak to Kyle, he says that Michael was the one who wanted to kill Seth. He did want Seth dead, but he just didn't want to be the one to do it. And Michael said that he would be willing to do it.
which is a great thing to say to a detective. Like, I really wanted
Right?
this person dead. I just didn't know how to
I
go
don't
about it.
exactly. See, I just didn't want to be the one to actually do it, but I did want
But
him dead.
real happy about it though.
I know. I'm happy that he was such a fucking idiot. He seemed to
Yeah.
want to be he seemed to absolutely want to tell the truth. He thought that detectives could help him. I don't know.
Really?
Whatever. Thank you for fucking singing like a canary.
Say like he probably thought he would get immunity or something.
Yeah, like make a deal. See, like make the detectives like pity him or something. I don't know. So he says like Michael was snorting pills. I'm guessing like crushing them up. I don't fucking know.
I just like it every time. I don't know, when I hear that, it's just
Yeah.
a whole
Just
pill just going up there. Yeah,
right
no
up there.
time.
Like,
No time.
yeah. So he's doing drugs, he's getting amped up, and he's telling the people in the room, which is Kyle, Justin, Amber, and Charlie, like that he wants them to do it with him, and he's got a plan. And everyone agrees they're gonna do it with Michael. He also mentions that Michael was like really amped up, and he says, I want to go on a killing spree and I want 8 bodies by the end of the week.
See, and I believe that he probably did say something like that. I could
That's a
see
really
him saying.
specific, yeah.
And
It's a
he's
really
just this
odd
little
thing.
guy, and he wants to come across as some tough guy.
Yeah. So there's that. That's what Kyle says. They speak with Amber. Amber is the ex-girlfriend of Seth and probably guaranteed, considering the tattoos of each other on their
I was going to say
groins.
the tattoo.
Yeah. The new girlfriend of
badge tat.
Michael. Exactly. Oh. So she says that Michael told her to convince Seth to come over because he wanted to kill him. Just straight up,
Oh,
I want to kill him.
and she was like,
And
okay.
Amber's like, why? And Michael's like, I'm sick of how he's treating you. I'm just sick of it. I'm the
Oh, real
better
stand
man
up
here.
guy.
Yeah, and she's like, you know what? Yeah, you're like a knight in shining armor, Michael. So she reaches out to Seth. He agrees, and she goes with Charlie to meet him. Like I don't know, maybe on the road or something. And they walk up to the house together. Once
It's
they're
so
settled
sad
in,
that it's so sad that like Seth, I don't know, clearly really liked this girl and she's just
I
I,
know
I don't know, a
she
C
walked
next
him
Tuesday.
to his death.
Yeah.
Like she knew. It's
Yeah,
terrible.
that's so gross.
And once they're settled into the house, she says she's in the kitchen and Seth's in the living room, like sitting down on the couch. And she all of a sudden hears, "Get him." And everything starts. She says Kyle and Justin hit Seth with a piece of wood. I guess like Kyle hit him first with a piece of wood and then Justin came in and hit him. And that's when her and Charlie left and they went into a room and shut the door.
Okay, and they're
So,
assuming that they're not gonna get charged for anything because they're
oh
hiding or
yeah,
whatever.
100%. They think like that they didn't actually really do anything.
Yeah, they're
And you'll see,
innocent.
like, if you go watch the interviews, that's exactly how it seems they're thinking.
That's the level of maturity that we're dealing with.
But they do not grasp the gravity of this. So then they speak with Charlie, and she says that she heard Michael say that he wanted to kill Seth, and she was like, no, that's really not a good idea. She didn't go to anybody or anything. She's just like, oh no, don't do that. Except she says, "Yeah, no, I knew that Amber was gonna get Seth to come over, and yeah, I agree. I did know what was gonna happen."
Yeah, you told him to come over, remember? They
Yeah.
probably can check her phone records, can't they?
Yeah. Ye- Yeah, it's 2010. Yeah. Like if you go and you're looking like online, you can see the messages. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, so she's done.
Mhm. Well, that was Amber texting him, but it's Charlie's house. Like she knows what's going on.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. So and eventually, like I mentioned, they do get Justin to come in, and also I guess Justin's name is also Roach. Like that's like his like hard name with his friends. Like I don't know. That's I guess how his friends or people around him refer to him as Roach.
Yeah.
Like in the
So it's
interviews,
not
they're like
slang.
Roach did this and Roach said that, and the detective's like, who's Roach? Who's Roach? Like, oh,
Oh, is
Justin,
that like
Justin.
from does he maybe smoke a lot of weed? Because you know the roach.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, that's
Okay,
a maybe.
maybe he
It's just a
stinks.
ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's so stupid.
I know, I would think it would be like a slang word for trash,
Mm,
but it's his name.
they're all just cockroaches.
That's
It's
it.
gross. Exactly. So yeah, there's that. He's in the interrogation room. He is not impressed with being there. He's got better things to do, from what it seems. He's yawning and taking such big, long, elaborate breaths before he answers something. And something really weird is he's like, I was watching these interviews and I'm looking closer. I'm like, what the fuck is this guy doing? This guy has got his arms in his t-shirt like a child,
Yeah, I would
like
say like
hugging himself or something.
yeah, like when little kids are cold and they pull their arms in from their long
Yeah.
sleeve shirts and they've got dangling sleeves.
Yeah, his sleeves are
That's
just
so
dangling
weird.
there and he's sitting in a corner on a chair. Yeah.
I wonder if that's some kind of comfort thing where he's reverting back to being a child
Yeah.
and he's trying, yeah, some kind of
Yeah, I
comfort.
don't know. I really don't know, but I thought that that was worth mentioning. Like,
Right, just strange.
yeah, and it kind of just the way that he starts talking about what is going on just really bothers me. Not like the whole thing bothers me, but he's just so irritated that he's even there. He's not showing like any emotion. He's just annoyed. I think he got caught in a lot of lies because it was a little bit hard to follow. He's sitting in the room and he says that he only found out something was going on with Seth that morning, that Tuesday morning. He had a bunch of like scratches on his legs and he had a hurt knee. And he said that that happened because he was walking through the woods. He was never with Michael Sunday or Monday. That he never
Where
saw
was
him.
he? He lives there.
Yeah, I don't know. He just said he didn't see him.
He's like, I was busy
Um,
walking through the woods, getting my steps.
he started to maybe come like when the detective pressed a little bit harder. He mentioned something about they eventually said to me like that there was a rumor going around that something happened to Seth that with the gun and I don't know. It was you'll have to watch the interview. It was really ridiculous. She immediately squashed that and she's like, you're an idiot. You're done. You've already
And
been
he's just
pretty
the
much
whole time he's acting like they're wasting his time.
and she's like pretty much she's like you've already been pretty much outed, so you should probably think about yourself here and start telling me what happened.
Yeah,
And
because you're gonna
with
be
the
screwed. Because he's an adult. He's an adult, so he's gonna be more
yeah,
fucking screwed than.
yeah, and so he from there changes his tone and he says this freaking kid and begins explaining what happened, but he leaves himself out. He
This
leaves
freaking
himself
kid as in Seth.
yeah, that's how he's referring to him, but he leaves himself out right up until he does confirm, yes, he did grab Seth when Seth ran out of the house and he pinned him down. And then he says, and then Mike came out and just pumped his ass.
What a jerk.
Like, what? Yeah. I
Just
mhm.
trying to be some hard ass.
Just really I really don't even have a lot of words for just how callous this guy was in these interviews. Like all of the interviews were terrible, but yeah, and at one point the detective was like, "Well, how did you know to move out of the way for Michael to do that?" And there wasn't really an answer.
They got caught in
That
a lie.
kind of, yeah. And then after this, so Justin's interviewed. Now they're bringing James in, and James is that adult, like in his late 30s, who came and helped dispose of Seth. And he says, "Oh, I barely know Michael. He's just a good friend of Kyle and Amber's. He's like, oh, he's like a good kid, and I do feel bad for Seth." And the detective's like, "What do you mean a good kid? He killed somebody." He's like, "Well, not anymore. I don't think that."
What?
That's kind
And
of
and also to
yeah.
be like, oh, and I feel bad for Seth. They're like, you feel bad that he got murdered? What?
Like brutally, that's what you have to say. Yeah. So
And
he's like,
he picked him up and put him in buckets and dumped him in a
mhm.
quarry.
Though he was a part of it, whether he helped shovel or he just drove, he was absolutely a part of it. But nonetheless, he agrees to bring the detectives to the quarry. And the reason he gave for not calling the police after hearing what had happened, he's like, it was just stupidity.
Yeah, I would. That checks.
Anyways, so at one point, the detectives decided to put Charlie, Amber, and Kyle in a room. And I don't know if this was before they interviewed everybody separately, besides Michael at that point, or if it was right after. But regardless, they were all put into one room. And they were totally oblivious to the fact that that room was obviously being recorded or they just did not care. I don't know which one,
Yeah.
but they had quite a lot to say in that room. They discussed the cleanup, like how the cleanup went at the house. Kyle said that he was trying to tell them to just tell the detective everything and tell him the truth because the only way the detective can help is if they just tell the truth. Like he was very upfront about being like, no, I told them everything.
Yeah.
They discussed whether anyone had asked for a lawyer. And I think it was Kyle. I can't remember, but he's like, why would we ask for a lawyer? None of us can afford a lawyer. And they're like, oh, well, one would be appointed. And they're like, one's not going to be appointed. The
Yeah, they
level of
clearly don't know.
the gravity of what's going on here. They were talking about how Michael was the one who did it, that they didn't do anything, and Michael instigated it all. I think Kyle was the one who said Seth's not innocent in this. They sat there and talked about how this is going to be their life now, and how people are going to hate them all, and they're going to have to watch their backs if they end up getting out of this, because no one's going to want to be around them.
That's her
And-
biggest concern.
Well, Amber goes, I'm going to be like 20 before I get out. Okay.
Good luck.
And after all this questioning, again, minus Michael because they don't have him yet, the detective walks in and she is a badass. She walks in and she stands at the door and she's like, Kate, you're all going to be booked with first degree premeditated murder. You two, being Amber and Kyle, you're going to the juvenile assessment center, and you, being Charlie, are going to the Marion County jail. And they're all like, what? They're like, for how long? She's like, no, you're going without bond. You're not, there's no bond with this.
Yeah, because they were just incriminating themselves the whole time in that room.
Yeah, no, you're not getting out.
Yeah, because they said at one point they were saying Seth wasn't innocent, and how, oh yeah, they think that we killed some innocent kid. He wasn't innocent, and like right there, it's just
Oh, I know. The conversations that went on in that room are just sick.
Yeah.
And they're all
And
like,
just so concerned with, like, so self-centered, so concerned with
Yes.
themselves. They don't even care that this, this quintessential cute little teenage boy. Yeah, I looked at pictures of him. He looks like just
Yeah.
the Justin Bieber haircut, just the, the
totally.
cute kid from high school in 2010, if you can imagine that.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, even with that, I don't know if you saw this part, but I think it was when Amber's nobody's gonna want to be around us. They're gonna hate us. And then Kyle's like, why? He's so oblivious to the like why that would be. And she's like, there's a 15-year-old kid dead because of us. Again,
Yeah, they're
they
just so
do not
callous.
understand the gravity of what the hell is going on. They only care about themselves.
Yeah, and Kyle was like, they don't have anything on us. We didn't do it. We didn't do it. We didn't do anything. We didn't do anything. It was Michael.
They did a lot. So yeah, this detective's like, fucking, I don't even want to see your guys' faces anymore. And she lays it out for them. And they were like all in shock and upset. And they started again talking about how Michael had the gun and that they were scared. And the detective's like, this is what's happening. You take deep breaths to get through this, but this is what's happening. And she just leaves the room, shuts the door.
Yeah,
They're
because
all
even
like crying.
Amber, I thought she was like freaking out and crying and stuff, but not crying because she felt like bad for what
Yeah.
she did. She just was freaking out because she's going to be there till she was 20.
Yeah. And then the one other girl, Charlie, she's freaking out. She just keeps repeating how her husband, who is literally in prison too, is not going to wait for her, and he's going to leave her, and every single thing that they say is about themselves. Like, not once did they mention, okay, maybe Seth did stuff, but he didn't deserve this. They didn't say anything. It was just
They
about themselves.
1,000% believed he deserved it. Like even when they were still saying, "Oh, Michael did this, Mike did this," they still were all on board that, oh, Seth deserved this. He's not an innocent kid. They were saying that he was giving them death threats or something,
Yeah. No,
which we don't know.
So eventually that same day, I think it was in the evening, Michael ended up coming to the police station. And this is really weird. I don't know the dynamics here, but this is how he ended up getting to the police station. After this all happened and how James had driven him out of town, Michael had called up one of his other ex-girlfriend's dads, asked to like stay at his house because he had gotten in a tiff with, like, just giving his excuses on why he needed to stay there, and he needed things to cool down at home first before he went back home, and asked if he can stay there. And the dad, thinking that's the reason why, was like, okay, yeah, you can stay here. I think it was like the next day, Michael told him exactly what happened, and luckily this is where the train of adults not saying anything. So Tracy ended that, and then this next adult also ended that. He was like, okay, you need to go to the police station. He brought Michael to the police station. They talked to this dad. He didn't know about this whatsoever prior to Michael telling him. And as soon as he did, he brought him into the police station. So they cleared him of any suspicion.
Oh, accessories or anything like that, like in aiding him, or hiding, or like letting Michael hide or whatever.
Exactly, yeah. So there was no concerns there. And Michael, he doesn't just stop confessing at that point. Like, because if you remember, he had told Kyle to go tell his dad, and his grandmother was there. James had known what happened, and he went along with it. So Michael's just telling anybody who's gonna listen about what's happened.
So he's like bragging about it, essentially.
Well, yeah, because he actually, when he's put into a holding cell at the jail, he's telling the person who's in there with him, I guess like the other inmate, telling him, and one of the correctional officers overheard him. At this point, he's just in a holding cell. So he doesn't even know if they got him yet with actual evidence or just hear like he said, she said. So, but he's just like this badass, and he's like, I gotta tell everyone.
Yeah, so no, I can definitely see him trying to be this bad, mean guy and not even thinking about it. Just not even thinking that it's gonna hurt his chances in court.
Very little brain cells there, and thankful for it.
Yep.
But when it comes down to it, Michael, he blames Kyle for the whole thing. He says Kyle stole his gun, and he was not there when Seath was killed. He did say, however, that he did help dispose of Seth's body, but there was a reason. Yeah, so he's like, there was a reason for this. This is how it all went. He got into a fight with Kyle and Justin, like a physical fight, and he was all like beat up from it. And he went and he cleaned himself up after the fight. He drank. And then he was like, I'm going to go visit my ex-girlfriend. So about 9 p.m., he left his house at or mobile home, and he's on foot. But instead of actually just like walking right there, he takes his time, and he's, I guess,
takes the scenic route.
Yeah, I guess, like, I don't even know, fucking walking circles or something, because he said that he was like walking in the dark, and he'd stop under some street lamps, and he'd smoke some joints. And then eventually he ended up throwing up because he had been drinking so much. So by 11:30, so we're like 2.5 hours from when he left his house, he's still not there.
And do we know how far away his ex-girlfriend's house would have been?
I don't know, but if he was like, I'm just going to walk over there, I feel like it wouldn't be that far. Like, I feel like he's just trying to figure out how to account for some time, because none of this even makes sense. He's like, yeah, I stopped, I smoked some joints, and then eventually I was throwing up from all my drinking. So by 11:30, I was like, fuck, I might as well just go home. I don't want to show up there smelling like this. Like, can't do that. This was all for nothing. And I think he called his dad, and his dad picked him up and drove him back home. I believe.
Like that's his story, or that actually
that's his story. Yeah.
Okay.
They were like, that's a long time to just be like dicking around like that, and not
even
gotta
get his steps, man.
To not even make it to your destination. And he's like, oh, well, like, I hurt my knee previously from biking, so I was also walking really slow. So just like an answer for everything. So he gets back home to Charlie's house. When he gets home, it smells like bleach. I believe it was Charlie who was cleaning up, and Amber's sitting on the couch, and she's crying and drinking, and Justin's just standing around. So
and where's Kyle?
Then I made it to the backyard, and when I got out there, Kyle was out there, and he was having this massive fire, talking to the neighbor who was concerned about the fire. Michael's like, yeah, I agreed the fire is just way too big, and I agreed that I would put it out. And then he's like, then I just went back into the house, and I was going to my room to go to bed. But that's when Kyle came to him and told him what happened that night when he wasn't there.
Oh, so and that's why he had to help get rid of the body.
So he goes, Kyle and Justin were really high, and Kyle took Michael's gun. When Kyle heard an argument in the living room and seen Seath and asked Seath to leave, he wouldn't leave. So Kyle tried to hit him with a stick, and it still didn't make him leave. So then Kyle just shot him.
I just like
Michael-
have this image in my head of this like little stick.
Michael says, and Kyle had already put the body in the fire before I got home. So all of this happened before I got home. Michael's like, I had to help him dispose of it because he had my gun. He said he would blame me for the entire thing if I didn't help. So then he helped.
And see, I don't know. I don't know if I want to say I give people the benefit of the doubt, but I'm like, I don't know. I could see that him goes for a walk, comes back. One chick is cleaning with bleach. The other one's 16, drunk, crying. That checks.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Justin
does
Roach. Justin the Roach is just being a roach. And then you've got weirdo Kyle, has this massive 10-foot fire, and then.
God.
I mean, if there's a gun and he's saying like, well, he told me he was going to kill me if I didn't help him, it's like, all right, well, I mean, shit, maybe that did happen.
I mean, I guess. I mean, yeah, there's a couple things there, but
Well, obviously, we know what happened, but as a detective, I'd be like, who do I believe?
Nonetheless, everyone's just fucked here. It's
Yeah, and
just
remind me
trash coming
again.
Together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know how they all found each other, but it just seems to happen
Yeah.
sometimes.
It does
But,
seem to happen.
Remind me, Seath put up quite the fight, right? When they were attacking him, because he even after he got shot, he even got up and ran out, right?
Yes, he did, and he.
So
was
they
still
would look
trying to get
pretty
away.
beat up. Like
Mhm.
Mike would have looked pretty beat up. So his reasoning for that was saying that him and Kyle got into a fight.
Yes, and if you remember Justin the Roach, he said that he was all scraped up because he had just been taking a gander in the woods.
Yeah.
He's had all these answers for everything, and
who just goes in the woods and looks like they're, it's like Snow White, how when she, how the woods comes alive and starts attacking her. Like,
Yeah.
that doesn't happen in real life.
Like if you're going for a walk in the woods and you're getting beat up and you're doing a voluntary walk in the woods, then turn around and go put some pants on.
Like, you're doing it wrong.
You are going for a walk very incorrectly.
It's not
Like you are an idiot. Like just a bunch of dummies here. So regardless, yeah, everybody's just fucked here. And the police, they're pretty sure they've got enough of the story here to know what happened. And especially after searching Charlie's house and the quarry. So Charlie's house painted quite the horrific picture. They found so much ammunition. Like there's a long list of ammunition found and where they found it in the house, and then also spent ammunition. They found drag marks out back. They found dried paint out back, a dumpster, the fire pit. They found a pressure washer on the front step. In the house, the bathroom door was off the hinges, hiding ammunition in the floor vents by the bathroom.
What?
Yeah.
So that they were hiding bullets?
Yeah, like they had shit I don't know why, but they had ammunition just everywhere.
What the hell?
They took a look at the fire pit, and that's where they discovered human remains were in there. So they were able to find the murder weapon, and it was found in a vent in the house.
Oh.
Like it was
okay.
obviously they tried to hide it.
Yeah, okay.
I believe they were like luminol testing. In the blood evidence, Charlie's DNA was found in the blood on the bathroom wall. Kyle and Seth's DNA were found on the living room floor. And this was so weird. Michael's DNA was found on the kitchen lights, like the ceiling lights.
What? So the splatter?
I
Blood
guess,
splatter?
yeah. Like I don't fully understand how the evidence, like about how the DNA and blood evidence works, but that's how it was described. And then when they took a look at the quarry, they found shoe impressions, bucket impressions in the dirt. They found a bucket and a bag floating in the water, scrape marks, and they sent divers in, and that's when they found all of those 5-gallon buckets and opened them up.
When they filled the buckets up, they didn't like put cement in them or anything like that. They just put like ashes and stuff in them.
So they put all of that in the buckets and then they tied it with wires and cables and a cinder block.
Oh,
try to-
that's what the wires and cables were for.
Yeah. Yeah. So they found that and they found the buckets and they had opened it up and found that it was human remains as well. So with all of this, with the plethora of evidence that they found and the conversations that they've had with all of these people, they are confident here that they know what happened to this poor boy and they go to trial. So I'll get into a little bit here about what each of these people have faced when they went to trial and after. So Michael received the death sentence and he was and that made him the youngest death row inmate. So this is in Florida.
In that province, in that state.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
this is in Florida. How come I
Yeah.
didn't know? This is making so much more sense now.
The judge, he said when Michael was sentenced, it was the most cold, calculated, and premeditated case of murder he'd ever seen.
Yeah, that checks. That's fucked up.
After he was sentenced, Michael goes, first of all, I didn't kill him. And second of all, I met this dude like twice in my life.
Oh
And so
my
when they
God.
were, and then he takes it another step further. And when they were leading him to his cell, like from the courtroom, Michael says, may God have mercy on my soul.
I'm just looking at a picture of him.
What about Seath? Was there any mercy on him and his soul?
They don't care.
No, he
They're
does not.
Scum.
So in 2021, the Supreme Court upheld his death sentence again. But
Oh.
Michael's adamant that he didn't do it. And I seen just a little snippet of a video of Michael talking. It's ridiculous. Basically, if you guys are willing to kill somebody over something they didn't do, then like you'll have to go and watch that. But he's just such an arrogant little fuck.
He looks like ill. Like his eyes.
Yeah.
These bags under his eyes, but
And probably from all of the drugs.
yeah. Like he's got these dark eyes and he just kind of like he's not really looking into, it's kind of soulless, I suppose.
Yeah.
So he's
still
still
in
on
prison.
death row.
Yep. Kyle received life in prison. As of 2016, he's 22 at that point in 2016. They had a resentencing hearing and that made it so he's eligible for parole in 25 years.
I'm just looking at a picture of him and he's got a giant on his neck tattooed. I don't know if he's got a giant yin and yang tattoo right on his neck, right under his chin. So it's like, the
he
white.
Must have gotten that in jail.
Absolutely. And it's so cringy and it's about the size of, it's huge. It's the entire front of his neck.
The judge said Seath's murder was one of the most premeditated and heinous crimes he has ever encountered.
Yeah,
True.
that's so sad.
Amber, she was sentenced to life in prison as well. She received a second trial in 2016, though, because when she was originally arrested, there was an issue with the way that her Miranda rights were read.
Okay.
So that gave her a second trial in 2016. But again, she received life in prison. But like her brother, that can be reviewed. She can be eligible for parole in 25 years.
I think both of them should have gotten the death sentence.
So the only reason they couldn't is because of their age at the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the best that the maximum sentence was life in prison.
Okay.
The judge said during hers, I have not seen or heard anything more despicable than what led to Seth Jackson's death. True.
Yeah.
So Justin, he was charged with first-degree murder and he originally pled not guilty, but he ended up accepting a plea deal to avoid the death penalty. So he changed it to guilty and he will spend the rest of his life in jail without the possibility of parole.
So I think that's kind of what Kyle was trying to do in the beginning. Remember, he wanted to tell I think he wanted some kind of plea deal.
Yeah, some sort of like agreement or something so he can get less. Yeah.
Yeah, when I was listening to him, he sounded like such a big dummy. Just
Yeah, no, they all sound like idiots. Charlie, this was interesting. Charlie was charged with first-degree murder. So 9 years after she was put in prison, she had appealed and was given a new trial. The judges had agreed that she was given ineffective counsel when she was first on trial.
okay.
She ended up pleading guilty to a lesser charge of second-degree murder, and she was resentenced to a 10-year sentence, but was let out in 2020 at the age of 27 because of time served. She's out walking around now.
That's so messed up because she like maybe wasn't the most, I guess, involved, but she essentially hosted it. She like
Well,
provided
yeah,
them
and she was
the
a part
space.
of bringing him to the house, knowing what would happen.
So, like she couldn't message Seth. Like Seth wouldn't go to meet her, I'm sure, and she didn't
Yeah.
attack him. She didn't pull a trigger, but she was like, "Do it at my house. It's fine."
Yeah, she was there for all of it.
And then cleaned everything up.
But yeah, so James, the almost 40-year-old who helped
Oh,
these
yeah.
teens with this, yeah, he ended up being charged with accessory after the fact to first-degree murder. He faces up to 30 years in prison, but I guess they have not made a final decision.
Is that not life? Is
Still.
life not 25 years?
I
Or
feel
how
like
many years?
it becomes so convoluted.
It depends where you are, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess, yeah, it says he faces up to 30 years in prison.
They're all over the place with sentencing. It's almost like they took
I
pity
know.
on Charlie there.
So that's where we're at with all of these people. I wanted to mention this because Amber, just to me, still does not seem like she has any remorse or any thoughts except for herself. Piers Morgan had went and done a jail interview with her, and he also interviewed Seth's parents and Amber's mom. But when he was talking to Amber, I was like, my mouth was open the whole time I was watching. So
What year was this that he did the interview?
After her resentence hearing, yeah.
So she's 23 at this point?
In 2017?
Yeah.
Yeah, she would have been.
Okay.
So Piers Morgan is sitting across from her, and how does it feel to you when you're referred to as a monster? What does that make you think, or how does that make you feel? And she literally says it hurts when she hears and sees that because she knows she's not a monster, and she knows she has made bad mistakes and bad decisions. And the way everything is portrayed, it's horrible. She guesses she can be put in that category, but it hurts that people don't know who she is, and that's what they think of when they look at her. She says it doesn't define her, and that one thing she took a part of was the worst thing that has ever happened to her in her life. And that event changed the person she is because she doesn't look at people with unforgiveness and hatred anymore. She says she's not evil.
So she's basically saying, like, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. It helped me grow into this person.
Completely thinking about herself. She even goes on and says that when she thinks back of that night, that she feels empty because it's terrifying and scary to think that something like that happened. And that after he died and she was cleaning up, it's like she was not partaking in anything anymore. So after that, it was like he just disappeared.
What?
How
Oh my God.
cold is that?
Yeah,
Does
that
she even
definitely.
know how cold that sounds?
It's weird. She's definitely not trying to come across as someone who has
No.
remorse. And she
don't
doesn't
know.
bring up the fact that she lured him in and
You have to watch the interview. They go on about a bit, but that was just like she just in every single answer, it was kind of that she was just thinking about herself is the gist I got.
yeah, it sounds like it. And so she's going to be 25 years before she's up for any parole.
Yeah,
Or no?
until she's at least eligible.
Oh, well, that's definitely not going to happen because
Yeah.
what they look for is people who are remorseful and understand what they've done. And she's clearly
Just
not.
think she had said when she's like, I've met a lot of amazing women in here, and people change. I really, I understand that people can change, but I really don't know how people who could have been a part of something so calculated, so manipulative and savage, I don't know how they can be rehabilitated and be put back into society. I don't see that. Like, this
I
was so horrific.
Yeah, I think obviously just the way that she's talking, she's definitely a narcissist. And
Yeah.
she, even if she didn't murder any or got out and she wasn't a violent or physical threat because she's quite small, but she would definitely probably become some kind of a scam artist or, hurt people in other ways. And
just very
yeah,
manipulative.
and just I think
Yeah.
continue, on the path of just manipulating and just doing terrible things. I don't think she should get out.
No, I 100% agree. So Seath would be 28 years old now. Had he
Oh.
not have been robbed of his life, he could have gotten the opportunity to just get over this phase in his life and this cycle that he was in, because he was only 15. He had so much time to grow. He could have pursued one of his dreams. He could have maybe had a family. He could have graduated high school and seen that it was just a blip on the radar. His parents could have had the opportunity to watch him grow into a man,
Yeah,
watch
and he
him
never got the
flourish.
chance.
He never got the chance because these teens decided they were going to play who lives and dies, and took his life from him and destroyed his family in
And
a
I don't even,
completely irreversible way.
yeah, and I don't even think there is any way this could have been stopped or intervened or anything, because there was no one in the group at any point who said anything to, anyone with any brain cells until after the fact. And also kind of nobody knew about it. And anybody who did know about it was just that little circle. Because like, how sometimes you hear kids in high school or whatever, and they talk about stuff and you hear people, and after the fact, people are always like, oh yeah, they said that, but I didn't think they were actually going to do it. There was none of that in this situation. Like, there was no, oh, that
they
person
made the
should have
plan
told
that
someone.
afternoon and
Yeah, and
carried
then
it
they
out
just
that
went.
evening.
Yeah, so it was like there was no possible way this could have.
And it was 5 against 1 15-year-old who was just ambushed.
Yeah.
Like, this really upsets me. And I cannot stop thinking about how, if they just got over this time. I can't, like, these fucking 18-year-olds and 20-year-olds. I don't know. There's a special fucking place in hell for these people.
Oh, absolutely.
The interviews, watching his parents.
Oh, yeah.
It made me just hurt because they are obviously in so much, like, the pain will never go away.
No, and did he have siblings?
Yeah, he had 2.
Oh.
He, like, this family was just
destroyed that family.
And then they have to live with all of these details that they did to their baby.
And at no point either did Amber, or it's like I'm kind of blaming her a lot because she is the one that
she
knows him the best. She knew him the best. Obviously, the first place Seath's mom went looking for him was her house, so that tells you a lot. And she didn't even think about Seath's siblings, his parents, nothing. Like, she didn't think.
Oh, and she still just thinks about herself. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know. I can't. It's just so one track, so narcissistic, as I mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's it.
And yeah, that was a terrible one.
Agree. And hopefully nobody else involved in this will be let out. Like, I hope nobody forgets about how terrible these people are as time goes on. And that's it for this week.
Remember, it's a dark world out there. See you creatures next week.